Dhanyavad, sir. So I thank all the 21 honorable members who have participated in this discussion today. This is a very important step being taken. There is one bill which is now passed through the Lok Sabha, aiming to bring in certain amendments to the three acts, which are the Chartered Accountants Act, the Cost and Works Accountants, and the Company Secretaries Act. Amendments are being brought in through one legislation so that all the three can be brought in with the same kind of amendments. And that has been after good consultation with the Legislative Department, who have advised us that one amendment through one legislation, the three can be amended because the objective is similar. Objective is also to bring all the three on par and strengthen all the three of them without in any way affecting the autonomy that they enjoy. Now, this is not done purely by discussions that have been held by the ministry. There has been a very well constituted committee, the Meenakshi Datta Ghosh Committee, which was formed in April 2017 and who submitted their report in September of 2017. And 2017, all the recommendations have been studied in detail, and in an era where self-regulatory model has already come into question, global best practices are very clearly saying this model probably cannot actually meet up with all the expectations professional bodies have to characterize themselves with, and therefore the Meenakshi Datta Committee has given a lot of inputs on how to make these more robust. Equally, sir, in the last 8 years, particularly when after Prime Minister Modi 2014 onwards started giving a lot of attention to the economy, particularly in supporting all sections which have the inclination towards becoming entrepreneurs, giving startup the ecosystem that they so require, and making sure that the startups ecosystem is not just a blessing for metropolitan cities. We also aligned ourselves with the tier 2, tier 3 cities where smaller entrepreneurs are also being addressed through financial inclusion and through the Stand Up program. Today is the day when Stand Up was launched several years ago in 2016 by Prime Minister Modi, and the Stand Up India together with Startup India show that companies today are eager to register themselves as LLPs, and many companies and LLPs have got incorporated in the last few years. And because these LLPs are bringing in a newer kind of environment, we also see that the requirement for regulating them also needs to be robust. So the country has witnessed rapid changes in the way in which the economy is now being profiled, and therefore, even with the Companies Act and even with the IBC, we need to see how the LLP can make these companies which are smaller, driven by individuals who have innovative ideas and who today are contributing to the Indian economy in a very big way. So at this time, the sanctity of the audited financial statement, which is where all the chartered accountants' role come into play, has got to be maintained, has got to be given its due position, and we need to have, therefore, audit and certification quality. We need to also have a favorable investment climate being brought in. And therefore, a line which I said in the Lok Sabha, I like to repeat here, I recognize the importance of the three pillars, the chartered accountants, the cost accountants, and the company secretaries in the corporate governance structure. And if the corporate governance structure has really got to be robust to meet with the global investment expectations about our standards of audit, about our standards of investment policy, about how auditing certificates are being given, we need to have greater robustness brought in, and also a level of accountability brought in. Many members have actually made my explaining a bit lesser because they recognize that since after Satyam scandal, subsequently till 2013 when the ILFS scandal happened, we have repeatedly been questioned about the number of failing chartered accountants or chartered accountants who did not deliver as was the expectation through the letter and spirit of the Act needed to be acted upon. And in that, you find that over and over again, questions are being asked as to why wouldn't it be a more transparent process. With these concerns, a lot of consultations had been held, stakeholders have been repeatedly met, and also even a standing committee once earlier, sir, had gone through these issues, and at that time, it was felt, and it was in fact recommended by the standing committee then, that we need to have a greater transparency in the mechanism, and that is where from that standing committee, we've had this voice for greater transparency to be brought in. Now, there was also a question as to why there should be only one act. Will it mean that the three institutions are now going to be governed by this one act? I would like to dispel any doubts that honourable members might have. Those three acts are there. They are going to continue. They will govern the functioning of the three institutions. But this one act, which is now going to have an impact on each of the three acts, is only to the limited extent of bringing in greater transparency in the disciplinary processes with which these institutions function. And therefore, the three institutes governed by their respective acts will continue to have the responsibility for the functions which have been with them always, whether it is for qualifying people, licensing people, regulation of their conduct. All this will continue to be with them. And even as regards students, the institutes had earlier also full powers, and that shall not be interfered with. That will continue to be with them. So whether it is a question of thinking about increasing the fee or registration of members and even certification of practice, they are all now, as is before, as it was earlier, they continue to be, and this Act has nothing to do with that at all. The Council will have full powers to fix the fees and certifying the members. So there were references made to Section 18 of the Act saying administering funds of the institutions. They will continue to be as per the provisions of Section 18 of the Act. So there is no change at all in the composition of the councils responsible for the management of affairs of the institutes. The ICA has 40 members, 8 of them government nominees, 32 elected members. SI and the Institute of Cost Accountants of India, 5 government nominees and 15 elected members. The institutes, therefore, shall continue to function under overall control, guidance and supervision of their respective councils, which are as per their acts. So, therefore, sir, I just want to emphasize that in the proposed amendments, the Council shall continue to constitute these bodies as per the existing practice. Government will not constitute them. That has to be, I would like to reiterate that point, that the government does not constitute these. There will also be no change in the number of members in these bodies. So I want to assure members that the proposal which are in the Act will have to be laid bare to understand it. The coordination committee, about which a lot of members have spoken, it may be noted, sir, that the 2 other institutes, the cost accountants and the company secretaries of India, have not objected. In fact, the Chartered Accountants institution also in September of 2019 itself, under the chairmanship of the Secretary of Corporate Affairs, has also agreed in a meeting with the Secretary of Corporate Affairs in September 2019 agreed for the constitution of a coordination committee. So I don't think we should have any doubts if one of the institute has not supported and the other two have. All the three have, in fact, been in favor of forming the coordination committee. So I just want to highlight the fact, sir, that in the year 2000, in an MOU which was signed by the ICSI, which is the company secretaries, with the ICAI and the Cost Accountants Institution, a coordination committee was formed indeed. There was a coordination committee, but it has not even worked all right. So unless this new coordination committee is going to come into play, the old one being a point of reference where members have raised this question saying such a committee exists, why do you want a new one? It is only because the old one has not even taken off. It is important to understand also, sir, that this coordination committee is not a new idea at all, not only for the three institutions, but there are institutions like IIMs, Indian Institute of Management, which have a coordination committee. The IIT has a coordination committee. In fact, even for those who were voiced concern, saying, why should a lay person be heading the committees? There should be a member who understands chartered accountancy. I'd like to say whether it is the NAFRA, which is the NFRA, or even the IIIT, sir. The IIIT's chairman is the minister himself. So none of their functioning has gotten affected negatively just because a non-professional member is being brought in. Globally, the conduct of chartered accountants who are auditors and public interest entities are regulated by independent authorities. That is what is happening with NAFRA also. The PCAOB of USA, the FRC in UK, the ASCI in Australia, the IRBA in South Africa, the CPAB in Canada are all headed by people who are not professional chartered accountants. So the National Financial Reporting Authority, the NAFRA, sir, which actually looks at public interest enterprises, many members did speak about it, are also dealing with these matters with non-members, with lay members. So their independence from the profession has not in any way undermined the decision making that they have been all the while engaging in. So, and also the proposed amendments are very much in line with the core principles which have been given by the Independent Audit Regulators, which is a global body, International Forum of Independent Audit Regulators, which is normally the body to which all the chartered accountants do refer for guidelines as regards best practices. And also the International Federation of Accountants, which also periodically gives independent, which is a non-governmental body, sir, it's an international body, that also gives a lot of these guidelines. The Institute of Chartered Accountants of India is a member of this International Federation of Accountants. So if they have given guidelines, why would they be in discord with the existing institution? The standing committee that I was referring to earlier, which had already gone through this matter in 2004-05, in its 11th report, sir, very clearly, which was given in 2003, said that it recommends strongly majority of lay members in the disciplinary board. And I like to put on the record a word which is a paragraph which I'd like to take from that standing committee's report. And I quote, sir, the committee recommends that such a body should be headed by a person not below the rank of joint secretary belonging to the legislative service. 2 members should be from the council and 2 should be outside experts from the field of law or accountancy, unquote. So the standing committee then in 2003 has actually looked into it and recommended similarly. Whether it is the UK, the USA or South Africa, and in particular the state California, have all got lay members, and the current standing committee has also gone through this bill, and therefore any suggestion that a select committee reference be made would be only superfluous because members of the Rajya Sabha are also members in that standing committee which has actually looked into the details, sir. The current standing committee gave it and then submitted in the Lok Sabha, post which I have come here, sir. I am referring to 2003, but even now, the current standing committee has gone through it, not 2003, and 2003. So, I just wanted to therefore highlight one concern some members have referred to here, saying why should the status of an actionable complaint be already put up? Won't it hurt the cause because till it is proven that the person is guilty, why should you put it out? So putting the status of an actionable complaint, sir, in public domain or entering them in the register of members, many of them have also highlighted that, does not intend to victimize the member. On the contrary, the manner and the interval of putting out such information in public domain and entering it in the register of members shall be in accordance with the regulations framed by the council itself. So there's no way in which somebody is going to pick and choose, saying, choose to put this in public and not somebody else's name. So there is a system and a protocol decided by the council itself which will govern it. So, sir, the two institutes have not objected to putting out names such as this. So, largely, I think, sir, the points that have been raised by all the members have been addressed. I just want to underline the fact that it is a global best practices which have governed many of the features of this bill, which is now before us. It is necessary that we appreciate that without touching the independence of the autonomy of these institutions, we'd like to bring in these changes, sir. So I think largely the points which have been raised by the members have been addressed, and therefore I appeal to all the members to kindly pass this as has come from the Lok Sabha, because this is with an intention of making the three institutions a lot more transparent in their disciplinary matters and raise the quality of the disciplinary processes. Above all, I think this would also facilitate India to be able to support institutions and firms which can be encouraged by the Council to create something similar to the Big Four, which we periodically talk about, but completely of Indian origin. If the quality and if their strengths are being encouraged through this, I would think it is possible sooner to have institutions of that size which can meet up with the global demands. Thank you very much.